Hi everyone and welcome to this video. I'm Alessandro from Paraguay Pathways and today we're taking a deep dive into the residency process in Paraguay. Paraguay is becoming an increasingly popular destination for those looking for a second residency, and for good reason. It boasts an incredibly favorable tax system, especially for those who are digital nomads or remote workers. It has no geopolitical exposure. The residency process itself is very streamlined and very straightforward. It's a chilled, laid-back, safe country in Latin America with an incredibly low cost of living. It's still full of economic opportunities, just take a look at the GDP growth in the last years, and it's an incredibly beautiful country to visit if you decide to do so. With all of that said, we're gonna take a look at what are the documents needed, the timeline, the process, what are the pathways to the residency, basically everything there is to know about getting a residency in Paraguay. The first thing to know is that there are two ways to obtain residency in Paraguay. The first one is to go for temporary residency first and then convert it to permanent, and the second one is to immediately obtain permanent residency by investment. Now, in that second case, you're going to have to show that you have sufficient funds to invest $70,000 in the country. You're going to have to present a detailed business plan stating how you're going to invest the money. While in the first case, if you go for temporary residency, you're not going to have any kind of requirement in terms of income or wealth or investment, both when you apply for temporary and when you convert to permanent residency. Now, with all of that said, when is it better to apply for immediate permanent residency by investment? In my opinion, in just two cases. The first one is when a person's coming to the country straight to invest. Like if your main reason for coming to Paraguay is that you want to invest in either land, real estate, there's a lot of economic activity going on. In that case, of course, it just makes sense because it's a byproduct of the fact that you want to invest already. And the second case is the one in which you are under pressure to obtain a second passport. So, since the years you spend in temporary residency do not count towards the 3-year of residency mark to obtain naturalization and therefore citizenship and passport in Paraguay, sometimes it just makes sense to do the commitment to invest, and with that you cut those 2 years of waiting time. In all other cases, especially for digital nomads and for people who are just looking to explore and to see if they like the country or diversify their global footprint, it just makes sense to apply for temporary residency because you still have the possibility to invest if you want, but you don't have to make the commitment to do so. Whether you want to apply for temporary or permanent residency, most of the requirements stay the same. And the first thing you gotta do is make sure you're preparing all the documents you need from your home country. First of all is their birth certificate that must come strictly from the country where you were born. So no matter if you have naturalized somewhere else or if you're a double citizen by birth, you're gonna have to show the birth certificate specifically from the country where you were born. And that also has to receive an apostille from the same country. Now, what is an apostille? The apostille is a special stamp that was invented in the Hague Convention, if I'm not mistaken, in 1961. More than 100 countries came together in the Netherlands, and during this conference they decided that every time a document has this special stamp, it's gonna be deemed valid in all the other countries that have signed the same convention, among which there is Paraguay. So not only that would help you in Paraguay, but basically anywhere else in the developed world where you're gonna take your documents. The second document everybody needs is their background check, also called the police clearance certificate, also called the criminal record certificate. If you come from a country that has a state and federal level, like the US, you always want to apply for the federal one. Now, the background check has to receive the apostille, just like the birth certificate, but there is one more requirement, and the requirement is that this document cannot be older than 6 months. So 6 months since the moment it is issued and not 6 months since the moment it's apostilled. Now, some countries like South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, they write on the certificate that it's only valid for 3 months, but don't worry, Paraguay will always accept it for 6 months since the moment the document is issued. When it comes to the apostille, one error not to commit is to apostille a photocopy, a notarized copy, or a translation of the documents, because that is not accepted. And one other important thing to notice is that if you have been living abroad, so not in the country where you are a citizen or where you are born, in the last 3 years, instead of bringing the criminal record certificate from your home country, you would have to bring the criminal record certificate from the country where you are now residing. And of course, the apostille would come from the same country too. Now, Most people will just need these two documents, a birth certificate and a criminal record certificate, but some cases require a third or even a fourth document, and those are: first, in case you're married, you want to bring the marriage certificate with apostille too. And second, if a person has been born in a certain country but they enter Paraguay with a passport from another country, then they would have to prove why they have this passport. So say a person was born in Bulgaria but is naturalized in the United States, in that case they would have to bring their naturalization certificate with apostille. That means that it's true that they have naturalized in the US, because basically Paraguay does all of this to avoid people using fake documents in the process. There was a big scandal a few years ago in which the authorities discovered more than 15,000 fake ID cards issued to Brazilians in particular, and that was all due to the fact that there were some fake documents being used in the residency process. And then there was a big crackdown on the documents, and now they are very strict, and you're gonna see, for those who decide to do the residency process with us, that I am very obsessed with checking our clients' documents, because that is a big part of being successful in the applications. If the documents are okay, then there is absolute guarantee that you're gonna make it through the residency process. But even just the smallest of mistakes can either cause problems or straight out denial of the residency. Now, only if you're applying for permanent residency by investment, you should also bring two more documents. First of all, a bank statement showing that you have more than $70,000 in the bank in either cash or liquid assets. And second, a business plan detailing how you want to invest that money in Paraguay. Now, if you're using some kind of intermediary or agency or immigration lawyer like Paraguay Pathways to handle your residency process, they're going to be able, in most cases, to produce the business plan for you, because SUACE, the relevant authority, wants to have certain parameters met in the business plan. But in all other cases, I mean, you technically can invest in anything you want. It's just about how you present it in the business plan that can make a difference. Once you have gathered the documents, it's time to travel. You're finally able to fly to Paraguay and complete the last steps. Now, before actually applying for residency, you still have to visit some offices. And the first one, well, there is no strict order, but usually what we do at least to visit first the Interpol station. So you go at the Interpol and you ask for the specific international background check. Now, while they work on that, you go to the IT department of the National Police and apply for the Certificado de Antecedentes para Extranjeros, which literally translates to background check for foreigners. And then you can validate that at the Human Talent Department. We do that even if it's not a requirement anymore, but it's still better to do that. And last, you apply for the Certificado de Vida y Residencia, also at the police station. The Certificado de Vida y Residencia, which can be translated to Life and Residency Certificate, is the certificate where you prove your address. And for that, you need, first of all, an address. Second, two witnesses, or either one personal witness and another one with power of attorney. And last, either electricity or water bill. Now, again, if you decide to apply through us or any other specialized agency, they're going to be able to provide all of that for you. While if you apply on your own, this can be one of the hardest things and criteria to meet, because you have both difficulties in preparing the documents and also trying to find out how to have an address and an electricity or water bill in Paraguay. Once also the Certificado de Vida Residencia is ready, you go basically collect all these documents, the Interpol certificate, the criminal record for foreigners, and the Certificado de Vida Residencia, and you go to the Notary Public. At the Notary Public, you're gonna make two notarized copies of all the certificates you have collected in your home country, and second, you're gonna make two copies of all the certificates you have made in Paraguay. You're applying for immediate permanent residency by investment. Before you go to the Department of Migration and apply for the residency card, you would have to take an appointment at SUACE, which is the relevant authority that grants you the investor status. So they're gonna check the business plan, they're gonna check the bank account and nothing else, and they're gonna give you the Constancia de Inversor, which is basically a certificate that states that SUACE recognizes you as a qualified investor for permanent residency by investment. Now, whether with or without this document, depending on which type of pathways you are taking, you're gonna go to the Department of Migration now and finally apply for your residency card. The residency card is a card that registers all foreigners in Paraguay, and it takes around 3 months right now, April 2024, to be printed. because the applications have just skyrocketed in Q1 2024. The Department of Migration has made no big progress in terms of human resources and printers, so the times went up like 100% compared to last year. Now, cool thing to know is that you can have two options. The first one, what the normal process looks like. So if you're applying on your own, what you're gonna do is you're gonna wait for your residency card to be ready. So 3 months, either you stay in Paraguay or you just wait abroad and then you travel back to Paraguay. Or the other thing you can do, if you go through a specialized agency, there's like us and a couple other agencies that are able to do this, you go to the police department and you're already able to apply for the ID card instead of waiting for the residency card to arrive. So you apply for the ID card, all your data, all your photos, fingerprints, blah, 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 get put on a piece of paper. That piece of paper is on a later day used to print your ID card. In the meanwhile, your residency card is getting printed. You can wait in your home country or anywhere else if you want. And then once we have both the residency card and the ID card, we ship everything to you, no matter where you are in the world. While if you're doing the process on your own, you're gonna have to wait again for the residency card to be ready and then go and collect it personally and then go to the police station and then specifically at the Departamento de Identificaciones, the identification department of the National Police, and right there apply for the ID card, which normally takes 2 to 3 weeks to be ready. Now, technically speaking, the ID card sooner rather than later should be ready in just 1 day after the application. It's a reform that's being in the making in the last couple of years to try and facilitate the process, but we're not there quite yet. So at least for now, it's 2 to 3 weeks to have the ID card ready. And with that, you have finally completed the residency process. Now, if you're applying for permanent residency by investment, take notice that the timeline can be different, especially because the SUASE makes everything faster. So if you're applying for permanent residency by investment, your residency card is going to be ready well within 3 weeks, so maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then your ID card is usually ready in 1 or 2 days. But that is just for permanent residency by investment. I know that a lot of people now would want to know what you do later. So once you have your temporary residency, how you convert it to permanent. But I think that that's a topic for another video. We have a lot of material on that. And especially this video here was meant for people who are trying to achieve residency in Paraguay for the first time. So I hope this video has proven helpful to you guys. For any questions, always feel free to just ask in the comments or send us an email or a WhatsApp. You can find all of our contacts here, and we never charge for consultation. I wish you all a good day and see you in Paraguay. Bye bye.